I never thought my heart would start racing because of my best friend's mom. It all began with a book, some flowers, and a few pictures on a lazy Sunday in Seattle. My name is Jaden. I'm 23, fresh out of college, and hanging on as a graphic design assistant at a small startup in Seattle. It is not what I dreamed of when I was drawing logos in my dorm room, but it pays for my tiny apartment just outside Capitol Hill. Most days feel the same. I wake up, chug black coffee, fight with Photoshop, and try not to miss deadlines. On weekends, I might hit a dive bar with friends, or just crash on my couch. Nothing special, no big love story, just me trying to figure out where I fit in a city that feels too big. I have had a couple of flings back in college, but nothing that lasted, nothing that felt real. Maybe I am too picky. Maybe I am just waiting for something I never thought I would want. My best friend since freshman year is Liam. We bonded over bad cafeteria food and old sci-fi movies. He works some finance job downtown now, wears shirts that always look freshly pressed and somehow still cracks the same dumb jokes from college. We stayed close after graduation. If there is one person I trust, it is him. His mom, Danielle, has always been part of the picture, like quiet background music. She is 42, a high school art teacher. She has always put together, but never loud about it. I met her the first week Liam invited me over during freshman year. She asked if I wanted a soda, reminded us not to be too loud, and smiled in that calm way she has. I knew she had been divorced since Liam was in high school, but I never asked about it. She was just Liam's mom. Kind, steady, and in my mind from a different world. That Sunday afternoon, I was biking over to Liam's place in Fremont to return a beat-up copy of Dune we had argued about for weeks. The fall air was crisp and the sun was trying to push through the clouds like it always does here. But the sky stayed more gray than blue. I leaned my bike against their white fence, the same one I had seen 100 times. The paint chipped in places. Liam's car was not in the driveway, which was weird. I figured I would just leave the book and head out. As I walked up the path, I saw Danielle on the front porch. She was kneeling by a wooden planter filled with bright marigolds and some purple flowers I could not name. Her hands were covered in dirt. She wore a loose white button-up tucked into faded jeans. Her caramel brown hair was pulled up in a messy bun, a few strands catching what little sunlight there was. She looked focused, but there was something else in her face, too. A hint of tired, maybe lonely. I could not quite place it. I was about to turn back when she glanced up and caught me staring. "Jaden," she called, her voice warm but surprised. "Didn't expect to see you. Liam's out. I think he's at some work thing." "Oh," I said, holding up the book like it was proof I was not some porch stalker. "Just dropping this off. I can come back later." Quote. She stood up, brushing dirt from her hands, and gave me a soft smile. "No, don't go. You got a minute? I could use a favor." I shrugged. "Sure. What's up?" She nodded toward the flowers. "I just put these together. Thought I'd take some pictures for my art class Instagram. You know, inspire the kids, but I'm hopeless with a camera and there's no one around to help." She let out a small self-conscious laugh. "Think you could snap a few?" I chuckled. "I'm no pro, Danielle. I just mess with Photoshop at work, but I'll try." She smiled a little wider. "Just Danielle. You're not one of my students." I took out my phone and stepped back, trying to see the scene like a design project. She stood by the planter. The soft afternoon light fell across her face and hair. The rough cement wall behind her made the flowers in her white shirt stand out even more. "Okay, tilt your head a bit," I said. "Maybe smile." She did, but it didn't look fake. It was gentle, like she was remembering something. Her eyes caught the light. There was a hint of sadness there, but also something warm and open. I snapped a few shots, moving to get different angles. The flowers, the light on her hair, the way her hands rested on the edge of the planter, dirt on her fingers, but her touch soft and steady. When I handed her the phone, she stepped in closer to see the screen. Her shoulder brushed mine for just a second. My body noticed before my brain did. Oh my God. She breathed almost more to herself than to me. I don't know, like I'm 30 again. She laughed, but there was a small crack in it, like she was surprised by how much it meant to her. You don't need to be 30 to look good. I blurted out. The words came out faster than I could stop them. My face burned. It sounded like some cheesy line, but I meant every word. She didn't laugh at. She looked at me instead. Really looked. Her lips parted a little, like she was searching for the right reply. Thanks, Jaden, she said softly. Can you send me those? I'd love to have them. Sure. Where should I send them? I asked. She hesitated, then pulled out her phone. If you don't mind, I'll just put your number in. Easier that way. I tried to act casual while my heart thumped hard in my chest. She typed in my number and sent me a quick text. A simple smiley face and thanks again. I sent the photos back to her, then said goodbye and headed to my bike, the book still in my bag. On the ride home, I couldn't stop thinking about the way she had looked at those pictures, the way her eyes had softened. It wasn't just gratitude. It was like no one had made her feel that way in a long time. That night, after I got home, I tossed Dune on the coffee table and fell onto my worn-out couch. I opened my phone and looked at the photos again. I noticed little things I had missed before. The way the light traced the curve of her cheek. The way her dirt-stained hands still looked gentle. I told myself I was just proud of the shots. Around 9 p.m. my phone buzzed. I almost dropped it when I saw her name. Thank you, Jaden. Those photos made this middle-aged lady feel like she can still turn a head or two, winking face. I stared at the message. The wink hit harder than it should have. This was the same woman who used to tell us to keep the noise down during video games. I typed, erased, typed again. Everything sounded either too stiff or too flirty. Finally, I sent, you don't need magic to turn heads, Danielle. Just someone who knows how to see you. My stomach flipped as soon as I hit send. Had I crossed a line? A moment later, her reply came. You're sweet. Good night, Jaden. My pulse didn't calm for a long time. The next morning, she texted again asking if I had edited the photos in Photoshop. I told her I hadn't. That turned into a chat about my design work, then her art classes. It was easy, light, but also new. I wasn't used to talking to her without Liam in the picture. 3 days later, another text popped up. Feel like grabbing a coffee? My treat for the photos. I stared at the screen. She didn't mention Liam. She didn't say he'd be there. Sure, I typed. I'm free tomorrow afternoon. Name the place. She picked a small cafe by Lake Union with wooden tables and a view of the water. I told myself it was just a thank you, just coffee. But deep down, I knew it was the start of something I wasn't ready to name yet. If taking Danielle's picture opened a door, that coffee by the lake pushed it wide enough for me to step through. The cafe she picked sat right by Lake Union, a small place with wooden tables and big windows that looked out over the water. When I walked in, the smell of roasted coffee and warm pastries wrapped around me. Soft jazz played in the background. Something old and smooth that made the room feel slower than the rest of Seattle. I got there a few minutes early, but she was already sitting near the window with a ceramic mug between her hands. She wore a navy sweater and jeans, her hair down for once, loose waves falling over her shoulders. The gray light from outside framed her face, and for a second, I just stood there wondering when exactly she went from Liam's mom to someone I could not stop thinking about. Quote, she looked up and smiled when she saw me. Hey, Jaden, she said. Didn't expect you to be late. I'm always the early one. I'm not late, I said, sliding into the chair across from her. You're just on teacher time. She laughed, that soft, warm laugh that already felt familiar. Guilty. When you work with teenagers, you learn to show up before they do. We ordered black coffee for me, a latte for her. I waited for her to bring up Liam to ask if I'd seen him, to talk about him the way most parents do. She